Well, what started off as a Dogecoin joke seems to be turning out into the latest cryptocurrency craze. Joining me today on StansberryInvestor.com is Todd Bubba Horwitz of BubbaTrading.com. Bubba, good to have you back on StansberryInvestor.com. Good to see you.
Daniela, it's always great to be on with you, and I'm excited to talk about this today.
Yeah, talking about Dogecoin, and the bigger story here is, and I was reading remarks from Novogratz, who was saying it seems like it's a big FU to the system, the momentum that's growing here behind this coin that, as you know, Bubba, started off as a joke, and now look at it.
It's interesting, but we see, in the entire cryptocurrency space, just the entire growth. And yes, Dogecoin did start off as a big joke, okay, way back when, and basically went to zero, and suddenly has about multiplied 5 or 6 times or 8 times, whatever it is, times in value. And it's become a real player. And to your words, it is telling the Federal Reserve that they hate them, and that they're putting it right in their face that they would prefer to be in the crypto space. And even something like Dogecoin, they'd be in over the dollar because of what the Fed and the destruction that they caused. So the cryptos are very hot right now and look to get hotter.
So when you say they're telling the Fed that they hate them, who are the people behind it, the embracers of the cryptocurrency?
Well, I would say that if you wanted to classify who's in cryptocurrencies, you can start with the libertarians, because libertarians do not like the central banking system. Okay, so you can start with that. Now, obviously, you've got a bunch of youth and younger people involved because they can trade it freely. They can get involved with very inexpensive things, so they can take shots, on their phones while they're trying to trade. So you've got a lot of young investors involved, but you've also got some libertarians first and others, but that would be the currency of choice, I believe. If you ask any libertarian, do they want to have the Federal Reserve or they'd rather have cryptocurrency, they would vote for cryptocurrency.
I mean, the numbers here are fascinating. Up, I'm looking at the numbers here, up 14,000% year to date, a market value of around $90 billion. That's approaching 70 cents per token. As a trader, Bubba, do you touch that?
I wouldn't particularly touch that one, okay, but I would certainly touch them. I mean, again, what's going to happen here, you've got 9,500 tokens now, which is up from just 9,000 a couple of weeks ago. You're going to have to really weed through what it is. And Dogecoin, because it was initially a joke, I don't know if it's going to be just another kind of a jokish type of thing, or it's going to fall apart and collapse, or it will be real. We don't know which ones will be real. I mean, Bitcoin at one time was 6 or 7 cents. So, it's hard to say, but that would not be one that I would be using right now. I'd like to have a reason to get involved, and I don't have a reason to use Dogecoin yet, but it is a great story because it is telling another story.
Let's talk about the silver story now. There was that big momentum ahead of May Day and buy silver and the silver squeeze. Did it work? Is that what is behind the momentum we're seeing on the silver price now?
Well, I think silver is getting ready to break out. Silver has reversed its trend to be in a solid uptrend now. And I think it's on the precipice of breaking to a new level. And I think we're going to see first 30s. And I think we have a chance to go much higher. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to be tomorrow. It's been a very long grind here, but I think you're going to see a very steady, long bull market now. And I think it's just starting in silver.
Well, you've been a longtime silver bug, Bubba. That there's no hiding that. So you think finally now could be the breakout moment?
Right. No, I think, look, again, you all know that I always buy metals in general, right? I always buy physical. However, when I'm really bullish is when I'm adding in futures and options and other things, which I am now long futures and options. Okay. And so I'm very long silver right now.
Okay, good insights. You brought up the Fed before. Let's wrap with the Fed. Yellen, coming out and Powell saying that we shouldn't be surprised if interest rates could move slightly higher now.
Well, I mean, again, when you're being led by the 3 blind mice, okay, who critically cannot make the correct decision or using models that are dated probably 1920 that continue to tell us there's no inflation, what do you think is going to happen? they hide by adding to the money supply, and the bond traders are saying to them, look, you've got to hike rates because the bond futures continue to go down basically, which is raising the rate at the retail level. So the lenders are actually paying more. The spread is bigger as the Fed continues to say it's zero, which is a mistake, which they always make, and they're always too late to make the final decision.
Is it runaway inflation?
It will be. I think we got big problems. When you build basically a service economy, and with the new administration, we are 100% a service economy now. We don't have any manufacturing, so to speak of, we gave up fracking, we gave up everything else. So now service, if you're a service sector or service business, isn't energy a part of your cost? I mean, what is a bigger part of your budget than food and energy? Okay. Yet they don't count food and energy in the inflation curve. So that is totally backwards, which is typically what the Federal Reserve is. It's totally backwards.
Final Bubba insight for the day. When you were talking about libertarians and Dogecoin and FU to the system, made me think of Ron Paul, who's a good friend here of Stansberry Investor, obviously probably the most famous libertarian of all time. He's fought for so long to abolish the Fed, right? And obviously never happened, and it seemed like an impossible outcome ever. Do you think now, with the advent or what we're seeing with, what we saw with GameStop, what we're seeing with Dogecoin, what we're seeing with Ethereum, obviously with Bitcoin, do you think that could become a reality one day?
No, I think, unfortunately, central banks, if you go back to the 1600s in England, which is now a socialist country, obviously, central banks have wanted control and have had it. And I don't think that you can get rid of them, especially like with an administration you have now and what they want to do. There's no way you can get rid of the Fed. I would love to see it done. At worst, I'd like to see them audited, which is the other Ron Paul ism, is to audit the Fed. They have too much power and too much control and continue to destroy currency, which is basically when we went off the gold standard, the fiat currency system became the most manipulated system there was. And that's what made it funny when Trump called China the currency manipulators, because every one of the major countries through their central banks manipulate currency.
Interesting thoughts, Bob. I'm beginning to think you're really a libertarian, true in your heart.
I am.
All right. I always appreciate your thoughts. Thanks so much for coming on StansberryInvestor.com.
Thank you, my dear. I appreciate it, Danielle. It's always great to be with you.
All right. And thank you for watching. We'll have much more for you, so be sure to stay tuned. In the meantime, remember to share us where you watch us. That's it for me today. I'm Daniela Cambone.